Okay, so last video for the night, YouTube, and then I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my evening. So we already have the designated roles installed, and I'm gonna add the DNS role as I configure Active Directory. So we're gonna try this a couple different ways. First, I am going to install the Active Directory Domain Services controller. Actually, we're going to add this server as a domain controller. It's already been joined to the domain. We want to install DNS and the domain controller. The domain name, the fully qualified domain name, is going to be DC1. This may or may not work. Yes, align to all. Yeah, so it usually kicks back an error when you try this for the first time. That's okay. We're only human. So what we might be missing from that let's remove the server name first. Let's see if that works. Oh, look at that. It's going to work. Very good. So now this server is going to be promoted to a domain controller called DC1, and it's going to store all Active Directory services on DC1 just as it is on DC2. So that's going to take a while. We're going to sit back and let that run. It's going to reboot on its own, and we will have our domain controller built and almost deployed on our host machine. So that's it for the night. There's a couple different projects that we're going to be showing you. One of them is going to touch base on the Raspberry Pi. It's a Raspberry Pi. It's a mini computer. That's a $35 device, kind of like an IoT device, but it's a little breadboard, but it's a fully computerized device. I mean, it has it's different than your average machine, your average computer, in the sense that it's an ARM device. It's kind of complicated to explain, and it's getting late, and I don't feel like explaining it at night. But I wish I still had one. Think of a little mini computer board similar to Arduino. It has a network interface card. It has a USB port. It has a HDMI power source. So you can basically take a little device and build a computer out of it. In this case, I have a web server. It's actually running several different services. But let's find PuTTY and actually go to it real quick. It's running Debian-based with Linux. There's several different flavors to choose from, distributions. So that's the word I was still trying to think of. It's a Debian-based distribution, similar to Ubuntu. But here is the Raspberry Pi. Okay, and I'll show you all the services that I'm currently running on this Raspberry Pi. But the coolest thing out of all this is it's called Pi-hole. Get to the other page here. And what Pi-hole does is it blacklists DNS, unauthorized DNS entries on your network. So it's kind of hard to explain. It's like so you know how you have cookies and trackers, clickbait. What a Pi-hole does is a network level advertisement and internet tracker blocking application that acts as a DNS sinkhole. So you see the number of queries. There's nothing getting blocked right now, but domains on blacklist. And this is free. This is open source. I mean, it takes a little bit of knowledge to set it up, but it is very, very useful. If I want to. Okay, so right now on this Raspberry Pi, I have an FTP server, SSH. Pi-hole is one of the services. SMB for NAS, network attached storage. Printing, MySQL or MySQL server. Remote server for real VNC, and then I have Apache Web Services. So if I wanted to go to see if I actually had Apache installed on this, I'm going to, there's the web page. And I currently have, like I said, PHP, and then MySQL Server. Oh, so I guess I blacklisted MySQL Server. So let's see if I can fix that real quick. That's not gonna work right now. That's okay. So I have a couple different web development applications that I'm working on. I'm still building the back end, and then I'm almost done building the back end actually, and then we're gonna specifically be focusing on client side application. So I'm going to be using a lot of JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, Bootstrap. That's just some final touches to finish it up and make a user-friendly functionality more compatible depending on how they're going to be using it. So I know I kind of talked about a lot. Let's see. Okay, so yep. Did it already install? Let's see if it did. If it did, that was fast. So that's a domain member. Computers is a Windows 10 machine. And there it is, DC1. And I could even Okay, so that's going to give me that's going to query the details about DC2. We want details about DC1, but I'm not going to monkey with it right now. I'm just going to log in and then get set. Then I'm going to call it a night. But I hope this has been fun and beneficial. Now you notice how it has two icons here, Internet Explorer, Windows Media Player. Those are pushed out through what's called group policy, okay? The group policy allows me to apply policies within Active Directory. It's useful for desktop icons, mapping drives and file shares, deploying printers, setting restrictions, and blocking various applications. It also allows me to disable tracking and unnecessary telemetry stats that Microsoft likes to enable by default and send it to them to enhance user experience, blah, blah, blah. Kind of annoying. And you can do a number of things with it. You know, like, let's say I don't want people accessing the control panel. I go in there and I block it. Then they can't use the control panel. However, that could also cause issues if you need to go in and add printers. If you're using multiple printers, you need the control panel available. Not necessarily like going through Windows 10 settings, like I don't. So yeah, control panel probably needs to be available for several users. Some, not several, but some. And here we have the group policy objects. So you create policy objects and then you deploy to said organizational unit that's created in here. So user, let's say I wanted to push a user configuration policy and apply it specifically to users, then I would build that policy for the users. Computer configuration, same thing, only instead of linking it to the users unit, I'm going to link it to the computer's organizational unit. That's enough for the day, folks. Over and out.